All right. So I wanted to also remind everyone not to tattoo over anything raised on the skin, right? So if we're doing an eyebrow, for instance, and you come across a mole, there's a wart, a bump, skin tag, anything like that, don't tattoo over it. You can tattoo right up to it, and then you got to skip over it, and then you can continue on after it. And I know that kind of sucks because it can mess up the aesthetic look of your brow or your eyeliner. I did an eyeliner maybe about 6 months ago, and she had like this bump on her lower eyeliner. And she did have it checked by a doctor, and it was nothing. So there it remains. But I'm doing her bottom eyeliner, and I can't tattoo over it. So I had to tattoo up to it and then kind of skip over the little bump and then continue on. And at some point, if she wants to go have it removed, her doctor told her she could, but up until she got her eyeliner done, she really had no desire to have it removed. But once we tattooed the eyeliner and she saw what it looked like, because it broke up the eyeliner. Like, it wasn't this beautiful, continuous, flowing bottom eyeliner now. It was broken up in 2 sections, right? Because the bump in the middle. So once it healed, she did come in for her touch-up, and she did mention that now it stands out to her. And now she is, that she was going to probably get it removed. And once she did, I told her it needs to heal a minimum of probably 3 months. And then we could go ahead and go back over that bump, and hopefully pigment will take and we'll end up looking like, a beautiful continuous flowing eyeliner. But anyway, don't tattoo over anything raised. Don't tattoo over anything that looks funny, doesn't seem right, or you're just not sure what it is. Anything scaly or discolored, anything like that. I was talking to my friend Mary Richardson. Everybody knows Mary Richardson, right? Queen of the nano brows. And she was telling me twice, just recently, twice in a month, she had clients that come in for nano brows, and there was just like this strange kind of scaly, patchy little piece of skin, and she would not tattoo over it. And she told them both to go have that looked at. You should go to a dermatologist. Like, it just looks discolored. It looks a little off to me, and I'm not sure what it is. So I'm going to avoid that area, but you should go have it looked at. And don't you know, Mary told me both clients did go have it looked at, and on both clients, it was skin cancer. Both clients, yeah. What's the odds of that? In 1 month, 2 clients. Yeah. So I made a mental note like that was something that I wanted to talk about on this podcast and get this information and education out to everyone, especially if you're not a seasoned artist, especially if you're a newbie, because, I'm not sure if this is taught or gone over like in, a lot of the beginner classes and whatnot. So yeah, never tattoo over anything raised, moles, warts, bumps, anything that doesn't look right, anything that looks discolored, anything scaly, patchy, super, super dry, like just doesn't look right to you. Pimples, no pimples. We don't tattoo over pimples. We don't tattoo over whiteheads. It doesn't quite have to be a pimple, but it can be a clogged pore with a whitehead. Because our needles could, break that open, and, there could be pus in there, there could be bacteria in there, and then, you could end up with a complication or, an infection. So just a little reminder. So be on the lookout for funny things, bumps and lumps and funny things on your clients when you're working on them. And we can always suggest that they go see their doctor if it looks funny enough, or if it's something that maybe we're a little concerned about. I know there's a lot of estheticians and nurses and whatnot that have crossed over into PMU. So they're probably the ones who are more high alert and more knowledgeable with these sort of things. But we have a lot of PMU artists that come in from, or we have right from high school or from, real estate and other fields that these topics are not covered. And as I mentioned, there's just, the training in our industry, got to be careful. A lot of things are neglected and not taught. So watch out for that. The other thing not to tattoo over is anesthetics. So never tattoo over an anesthetic, and do not add anesthetics to your pigment caps. Don't add it to your pigment, please. This is really important, you guys. And when I say don't tattoo over your anesthetics, I mean don't lay down a layer of anesthetic and then tattoo over it, or don't dip in a cap of anesthetic in the manner we would dip in pigment and implant anesthetic into the skin, and do not add anesthetic to your pigment. And some of you might be cringing listening to this, thinking, who would do that? who would do that? But there are people doing it. And some of them may be doing it because they don't know any better. Some of them may be doing it because this is what they were taught. Some of them may be doing it because they took no training. They learned how to do PMU, watching YouTube videos. They've had zero training. So we do know that there are people doing it. This was a discussion on a Facebook board, a while back. So I thought this would be, something really great to talk about on this podcast, and a really important message too, a really important educational point to get across to everybody. Tattooing over anesthetic or implanting it in any way into the skin is outside the scope of our work and our licensing. That can only be done by a doctor or a nurse. What we're allowed to do as PMU artists or tattoo artists is we're allowed to, dip in pigment. We're allowed to pre-numb, with a good pre-numb, and then we wipe that off. And I'm a stickler with that, big time. Wipe that off really, really good. I'm just teaching Felicia how to do eyeliner, and one of our apprentices, our 12-month apprentices, and I had her cleanse and numb my client yesterday, and then wipe off the anesthetic off her eyelids. And I was just really on her about it, clean it 3 times to make sure you get all the anesthetic off. And because, you definitely don't want to be tattooing over anesthetic. So, so what we're allowed to do is pre-numb with an acceptable level, a good anesthetic meant for PMU. And we wipe it off really, really well. And then we dip in pigment and we do our first pass. And then, yes, we can apply a secondary. A lot of us use a Q-tip and get a little anesthetic and swab a little anesthetic over the broken skin. And that gets them good and numb. It helps them, helps control bleeding and lowers, gets the client a whole lot more comfortable. And so that's what we're allowed to do. But we're not allowed to add it to our pigments. We're not allowed to tattoo over it. We're not allowed to implant it in any way. And much more important than it being beyond the scope of our license, and only a doctor or nurse can do that in most, if not everywhere, then probably in most places. It could be potentially dangerous to the client, implanting anesthetic, beyond the epidermis, down that epidermal layer. So that's what really concerned me, is when I learned some people are actually tattooing over anesthetic. It could be potentially dangerous to our clients. So, we're, we don't want to do any harm to anybody. Like doctors have to take an oath, I will do no harm. Same with us PMU artists. We're using needles and anesthetics and whatnot. And, none of us want to hurt anybody or put anybody in danger. So yeah, make sure you're not doing that, man. And another thing on anesthetics, make sure you're using anesthetics sold by trusted suppliers and in the amount allowed us according to our license, and use them responsibly. Be really responsible with anesthetics. All right.